Make the order. Board members, you have a copy of the agenda. Are there any changes that need to be made? If none, I need a approval for the agenda.
So moved.
Brenda, Hill, Conrad, all in favor? It is approved. Next, public participation. Anything today? All right, operational financial effectiveness.
Nothing here for the work session.
All right, and student achievement.
Yeah, so I've got some data things you guys had asked last month. We're kind of getting into mid-year to look over some data things. So we're going to take a second and look back at last year because all the CCRPI data is in. And so we can take a look at that, and then we'll look at where we've been mid-year this year. So if you go to our CCRPI portal, everything is loaded in now, and as of today, they put the single scores in. The CCRPI used to have a score itself, and as they changed it multiple times, they decided to go away from the single score and just have the different components that you could look at, which what used to make up the single score. And the Governor's Office of Student Achievement decided they wanted the single score, and so now they calculate the single score themselves. So CCRPI releases, it goes full public, and then the good folks at GOSA come up with single scores, and those are out official as of today. So kind of the reason why let me pull up the elementary one. Why the reason CCRPI got away from it is when you have a score, you have 4 components that go into it. Content mastery kind of drives everything. That's your performance on Georgia milestones and your tested grade levels. Progress has to do with what they call a student growth percentile. And so they take those same scores, look at it a different way. So they'll take people who scored like me last year, and they'll take my scores and compare it to people who scored like me last year. If most of the people who scored like me went up and I went down, they'll say my growth was less. And if it was more, it was more. And so that's where progress comes from. Closing gaps, that has to do with, excuse me, the subgroups. And so you'll look at all of your different subgroups that fit within. That's your students with disabilities. It could be your English learner students. It can be racial demographics, all those things. And you have a target score based on what you did last year. The state will take what you did last year, increase it by 3%. That becomes your target score. And then you get, that's the flags, if you ever go in there and see the flags. And so, and then lastly is readiness. It has at or above grade level in reading. So again, it takes the milestones again and looks at the reading portion only. And then you get your student attendance, and you get your beyond the core, which is like your fine arts and some of those things. High school looks just like this too, except they toss in some things with CTAE and some other things, graduation rate, those type of things. The reason why the state of Georgia got away from it is the progress score and the closing gap scores, or this is Tim's version of it, they're a little volatile, and they go up and down each year quite a bit. And so what happens is that kind of shakes your single score, total overall score, up and down quite a bit too, because those count as 30% of your score. Really and truly, the content mastery is the one that kind of drives everything, because that's where your test scores start there, but they just look at it a bunch of different ways. So GOSA said, no, we said we're going to have a single score, so we're going to have a single score. So they calculate it, and CCRPI has changed, the formula has changed over the years. Like every 2 or 3 years, they change the formula. And so GOSA kind of came up with their way to do the single score, which is similar. So they put that out, and that's where they drive their lists from. So if you ever see GOSA lists, they get it from these single scores. So when you talk about promise school things and stuff like that, that's where that comes from there. So for comparison's sake, looking at our CCRPI, and so this is looking at the last 3 years. Remember, we kind of had it slowed down a little bit over COVID times. So we look at ours from an elementary, a middle, and a high standpoint, and then they kind of combine it together to get an overall district score. Each school has its own score as well. So you can kind of see where we've been the last few years and where we are now. So we've shown growth in all three areas over the last couple of years, which has been really good to see. They did not have a single score in '23 because GOSA did not do it that year. They started last year. So they're a little new to the game there. But you can get a comparison from where our district score was last year to where it is now. It went up 2 points, which is a good jump. But you can also go back to 2023 and see kind of where these scores were compared to where they are now. And like I said, your progress and your closing gaps are always going to be a little volatile. The readiness, it holds a little more true than your content mastery does. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, elementary in '23 was 15, and now 92?
That's where I say it's.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
No.
Yes, it is accurate. That's why I say it's very volatile. So, and that's where those single scores would jump all over the place. You could have a school that was scoring high in content mastery. They might be at 75%, but their overall score might be low because those two things, they had maybe their scores dipped a tad in a certain group or something like that, and it would drop it. So that's why the Godot kind of got away from doing that. But yeah, you can kind of see how they bounce around on all of them there. And when you go into it and look at it, you get a sense of how that works with each one of those little components. But overall, you can kind of see our overall CCRPI has climbed the last 3 years, so we're pleased with that and continuing to do the work in our schools to make sure that we're pushing growth for our kids, because the CCRPI does measure a lot of things. It measures your overall scores, but it also measures, that's where the progress comes in. It does measure growth. And so we want to see those things there. But I'm glad to see our reading readiness scores going up, and you can see that on the CCRPI page. And in the content mastery, that's kind of where you start when you look at it. So pleased with some of the things there. So that is looking back at last year, because all that data has to do with where it was last year. And so let's take a look at so far what we've done this year. And we have our internal things that we use to measure our students throughout the year. And elementary, of course, we're starting with Amira this year. This is our new program. This was the one that was recommended by the state, somewhat funded by the state, and pushed quite a bit around the state. So it looks a little different than our iReady, but you get a sense of it looking there. On the left is where we were at the beginning of the year in kindergarten, first and second grade. So that was the first week or two they came in the building, and we tested them. And then we did some more testing toward the end of last semester, and you can see we've had some really good jumps. You want to see the yellow and the red go down, you want to see the blue and the green go up. And so we saw a lot of that in our grades, which we're pleased with, especially with it being a new program. So we're all having to learn as we go.
Are they able now to read better with the outlets that they were having trouble with?
It's a work in progress still. Really and truly, a lot of it has to do with the Chromebooks. And so as we update the Chromebooks, the compatibility will be better with the headphones that we've got. And we are gonna have to do some Chromebook updates next year. It's that time. Yeah, it's that time. So that's when all the COVID money came, it's a blessing. But with any type of technology, when you do a lot at one time, it all starts to get, so you want to try to find those ways to cycle. And our tech folks do a good job of trying to keep us going as long as we can. We'll start cycling.
Did they look and see some Bluetooth, any headsets to it?
I don't know that it's compatible. I don't think that's anything. I'll look at you guys from a Bluetooth standpoint. I don't think we've tried anything with that. I don't think it's capable of doing that with the way it works, because it has to have that microphone. If it was just the headphones, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But the microphone is what kind of throws things into our rears a little bit. So here's third and fifth. Really like what we saw in fifth grade. That's a great jump there.
Yeah.
You can see the things there. And in fourth grade, we talked about fourth grade. Fourth grade's been kind of a bugaboo. And so glad to see the growth there.
From 12 to 36, yeah.
So what we don't know is how this is going to translate to milestones, because we're learning as we go. And also, this is mid-year. So we've still got another test administration coming up in March as we get ready for milestones. So we're hoping to continue to see the blue and green grow and the red and yellow drop.
So have you had more kids take the Cause if you look, you have more kids at, 471, 474, 490, 495.
You'll have fluctuations with that, just,
So we've had some more kids.
I mean, our overall enrollment is not going up, but it may have been some kids came in late, mid-year.
That's what I was
They
wondering.
didn't- Yeah, they didn't test at the start, so it's always gonna be a little fluctuation there.
That's
No, it's
growth
not mean,
in
but you still have a.
fifth grade.
That's what I
Fifth grade
think.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good.
And if we talk about it from an enrollment standpoint, when you go back, when we talk about, the birth rate dropping, if you look at kindergarten, it's at 390, fifth grade's at 469.
Well,
So like, yeah. Fourth grades are heaviest in elementary, but like I said, coming up in kindergarten, 390, 420 in first grade, so you talk about enrollment, you get a little
now
picture of it there.
for just the principal's sakes, did they divide it up to where they know where their individual school is? I mean, like, for these, like.
Oh,
they-
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's what I'm saying, like,
They've
they,
seen the
y'all know where your
Yes,
school's,
yeah,
okay.
they have those reports, so we went, and they can look at them there, for those. All right, for sixth through eighth grade, we don't have ready, or iReady for the reading. So they've been using the reading, diagnostic that comes with our curriculum. So this is the HMH reading, curriculum, and so you get a little bit of a sense, this is done by grade level. So the blue is the beginning of the year, and the orange was the middle of the year, when you see that. So you want your orange to go up on the first two things, which it did. This is sixth grade, and you want it to drop a little bit on the ones on the further right, just because you want less kids that are below grade level there. So sixth grade is there. You get a sense of seventh grade there. A good jump on the above grade level. We've got to get some more on those lower ends.
Yeah.
And then eighth grade as well, so some good gains in eighth grade. What's interesting with middle school is, and with any of these, there's the tension that goes on when you're working with reading, especially in these fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth grades, because, all right, I got kids that are a grade level behind, I got kids that are maybe 2 grade levels behind, I gotta do some work with them. On the flip side, when they take milestones, they don't care where you're at. You're gonna take an eighth grade test, whether I'm 2 grade levels behind or I'm not. So if you spend all your time taking those eighth graders that are grade levels behind, teaching them at a fifth and sixth grade level, they're not gonna be prepared for an eighth grade test. And then if you spend all your time doing eighth grade stuff, it's hard to fill gaps
Yeah, 'cause
on the
they-
backside. So, as we get through and go through this literacy change that we're seeing in our school system and our state, really, what you want to do is to be able to go back into these grade levels right here and try to get them as much in that green and blue as possible to start with, so that you're not gonna be having those things where they're so far behind by the time they get into fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, high school. But here's the reality. We're always gonna have kids that are above grade level, you're always gonna have kids that are below grade level. People learn to read at different times, different paces, different disabilities they may be faced with. It's just the nature of kids. If you've taught kids, they're not all the same. It's not making widgets on an assembly line, and so it's trying to work with them. But our job is to hold a high standard and try to get them as much on grade level as possible in those lower grades to mitigate some of this in the upper grades. But, all right. So then on the math side, we do still have iReady for our math. We're using Ready Math as our curriculum K through 8. Next year is our last year with the adoption that we have. So right now, we just had a conversation with principals this past week, actually, about, all right, we got one more year of our curriculum. We need to start thinking ahead and start talking to our teachers. What do they like? What do they not like? Do we want to look at some different things? Do we want to continue what we're doing? With math, you have some different options because the state has things as well. Unit plans, maps, resources, all that. So we're going to be having conversations over the next semester, getting ready for the adoption year, which will be next year. So come next spring, we'll be coming back and saying, okay, here's what we plan to do for math for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, depending on what we go with. But for now, we are living in the iReady world. So here's a K through 5 iReady math overall. Remember, when you start the year, you want them in yellow and to green and green stripe. they'll tell you yellow is pretty typical to start the year. So as you go throughout the year, you want the green to rise, you want the yellow to fall, and of course you want your red to fall as well. And so again, we talk about how many grade levels below, those kind of things. So I've got window 1, and I've got our most recent window, which was our December window when we did it. So some good gains there. Comparable to what we did last year, I looked at it to kind of see where we were. It looked pretty good. Kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2, you can kind of get a sense of where we are there. You want the red to drop, you want the green to grow, and you want to try to eliminate by the end of this testing window, which will be in March, as much of that yellow as possible and get as much green as we can. So all of these were pretty comparable to what we did last year. So we're kind of on track with where we've been. Same thing with 3rd, 4th, and 5th. You know, math has been a little stronger for us the last few years when it comes to milestones. And so it was good to be able to kind of see where we track, and I'll show you some projections of that in just a minute. And then, let's see, here is 6th through 8th, kind of where we started, where we are. You're gonna have more red typically as they get older because they've got more space to be below grade level. That's just kind of the way it goes. So you still want to see that dropping, but you're not going to probably see it as drastic. You want to try to get those reds into the yellow and then eventually up to the green. And then there's grades 6, 7, and 8 as there. Again, all of them are pretty comparable to what we did last year. Some up a little bit, maybe some down a point or two, but nothing out of whack either way. Now, you can get projections out of this. So iReady has norm data where they say, all right, if you score this or you have this many students score here, here's what we project you'll score on the milestones. And so iReady has 3 things they look at. I didn't put the first one up. One, this is winter. So the first one is if you didn't grow any more from now until May, I'm not looking at that. This one is typical growth. So this is where the kids do those work on the computer on the pathways, they do the practice stuff. So if they grow, according to iReady, as they typically should, it predicts our 3rd through 5th will be at that number proficient. If they were to reach stretch growth, which is they do above and beyond what the typical growth is, you know, so it kind of gives you a floor and a ceiling almost when you look at milestones. Just for sake, last year our score was about a 43.7. So you can see where we were fitting in there. And I've got some numbers we'll show you in a minute, kind of what the projection was last
Okay,
year.
that's what I want to see.
And then you can kind of see where we ended up at. But it does the same thing for 6th through 8th. Again, typical growth, we should be around 41%. If we reach that stretch growth, we'll be up at 49%. Last year we were at 41.6 according to the milestones results. And I can kind of show you where we were on the other end as well. All right, there we go. So here is kind of our projection by grade. So this is last year. So here was the projection for 3rd grade last year. Somewhere between 41 and 48, we were at 42.8. And so you can kind of read it that way. And you can see how close. So most all of these, we were above that floor number, minus 7th grade, which was interesting. We talked about that last week.
Which are 8th graders, right?
Correct, we are current 8th graders. This is what it projected them to do, based on the winter,
Right.
not on the spring. We'll get another projection in the spring.
Yeah.
But this is what it projected us in the wintertime. So that was really the only grade level last year where it kind of had an odd drop like that. Some of that is, it's a bunch of 7th graders taking the test. Some of that could be, all right, we gotta make sure we're finishing strong in the springtime. You know, there's a lot of things that factor into that. So that's last year. Then you get a sense of what we did this year. And this is where I can tell you, a lot of these were very comparable, but you almost have to read it like, okay, this is 3rd grade last year, they're in 4th grade this year. This is 4th grade last year, you know what I mean? You have to kind of look at it that way. And it gives you a little bit better sense of that. But here's where our individual projections are. You can compare these projections to what they were last year. Again, you can look at it as a cohort. These kids are now in 4th grade, or you can look at it straight across grade level to grade level. So we're projected to be higher in all of them, minus our 6th grade right now. So last year that's 6th, but if I look at it from a cohort, last year they were 33 and 43. This year they're 35 and 46. So even that's gone up that way a little bit.
I like to look at kids
Mhm.
instead of just a grade,
Yeah.
because kids stay the same. I mean, it's the same kids we're talking about.
Mhm. And so there's all kinds of ways to stretch and look when you go through data, because you can look at it that way as a cohort, and you can look at it from a teacher's standpoint. If I'm a fourth grade teacher, I'm what my kids did last year, I wanna look at it this way and kind of do those comparisons. So I'll go through this again when we get our, spring results, because that'll be closer to time.
Yeah.
But this gives us a good look at where we are mid-year, and we can compare it directly to where we were last year, mid-year. Now, I've got K through 8 things on here. High school's a little different, because high school you got all the different content areas. They usually have more internal things that they do. They don't have necessarily a straight, they don't have an iReady math that they use, because really, milestones is only Algebra 1. Literacy is only Literature 2 now, I guess, instead of American Lit, it'll be Literature 2. So we don't have the same kind of data. The high schools usually kind of do their thing at the school level, and we'll ask them about it and talk about it when they come. I do have those HMH things for high school, because they do have the same program. So I can kind of peek at that, but I also have to remember that's everybody in all the grades, not just those kids that are taking the milestones. So it's a little different to look at. But overall, pretty pleased with the stuff we've got. We see some good growth that's going on. Amira, we're excited about that. The Amira program also impacts how many students we identify for the state when it comes to that might have reading difficulties, that might have characteristics of dyslexia. What we've seen this year, we've got a lot less kids that are showing up in those areas. We still have quite a few, but we have a lot less. So we're happy about the data that we're getting from it. And also that one-on-one tutoring that they're getting to do every day, where they're reading to Amira every day. And they can do it at home, they can do it whenever, if they wanna do it. They just have to have the microphone. Well, at home, you don't have to have a microphone. I'll take my headphones out and I'll just talk to my computer. That work in a classroom of 25, but it's okay to do when you've got an individual time. So,
Can you do one more time about why, like fourth grade, the actual was 46.8, and then the projected is 34? Why would it have dropped the projected?
where,
Am
right
I
here?
looking at it wrong?
Here's what it projected last
42
year.
to 50, and then, but then
That's what they
it
scored.
was. Yeah, but I'm going from one
She's looking at the fourth
to
grade
the
for
26.
Okay.
Fifth grade for
Okay.
26.
So-
See the difference?
Yeah, so last year they scored a 46.8, this year right now it's projecting them here. So that just tells us, that gives you a clue that I got some work to do with fifth grade in the wintertime. So
Yeah.
that's why you look at data, you try to find those little things that you can see, and that can inform you on your instruction. Because it's great to have all this data, but we don't do anything with it and actually kind of adjust instruction, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
On last year's score, we made that improvement.
Mhm.
How's it compared to the state? Are we on the same pace the state's on, or are we a little ahead of them, a little behind?
If I think I have that on this page. I think I put the states on here. I may have it on another page with the state, because we gained more last year than they did, as I recall.
Then the state.
Yes, on the CCRPI side of things. Yeah, I think I've got it on a different sheet.
So we did outpace them a little bit?
Yes.
Good.
We've been kind of inching our way ahead. It's hard to move the block. That's just kind of the way it is.
We're going in the right direction, that's all you,
Yeah.
this day and time with
Listen, Art,
as much, some of the other things you deal with, if you're making improvements, that's a good thing.
the schools are doing a great job. Teachers are working hard. And as we kind of get used to, we're hoping with the literacy side, we introduced a new curriculum last year. It was kind of a change in literacy paradigm from all the things that have been going on before till now. So you hope a second year of that, you start to kind of get your foothold into some things and you can see some improvements there. Teachers are more comfortable with those things. And that's where when we start making those decisions about math, next year we're continuing, but the year after, that's where the teachers will have to decide, do they like what we're doing? We'll show them the new version of what they're doing. Do they want to explore some different things? And, they'll ultimately be the ones that kind of vote on, let's stay the course, we're continuing to grow, or let's try something different. you know, sometimes you can get stagnant with things, but there is also, comfort when you've been doing something for a while and you really have a good understanding of it.
Is there any data that shows like Whitfield, Catoosa, Walker, Murray, Gilmer, Fannin?
Not mid-year,
No, last year.
yes.
And sort of how we're ranked
Mhm.
with those guys.
I've got.
They're our neighbors.
I do, and I've got all of that on a different spreadsheet where it takes their milestone scores from last year, and I've got their,
Well, how's that
CCRPI
look?
scores. Up and down, grade level to grade level.
Okay.
And we've got some grade levels where we're doing pretty well, and we've got some grade levels, you know, we've got some work to do there. Some where science and particularly, like our schools have done a great job there, where like we'll be, if I took the 16 systems that I would say that are around us, we've got some that where we're gonna be science up near the top. And then I've got some where we're gonna be near the bottom. So it's things that we've gotta work on, for sure, but I can get that to y'all and let you look at it. So any other questions on CCRPI or mid-year data?
All right, there's none. Next on the agenda is board discussion. Anyone have anything?
I just have a question about where are we at, how many numbers do we have for not homeschool, but online schooling?
Liz, is it still about 55?
We're sitting at about 65 right now because we've got several that we've just brought in between last week and this week.
Okay.
And that window is about to close.
About another
this year.
month, okay.
Yes, for the year.
Have we got railing scheduled to start the renovation when Sue School's out at the high school? Is that scheduled? And
Yes.
so, as soon as the bell rings, the next day, they're gonna be going pretty much like Glad.
That's correct. We're working every day on getting
Materials.
the high spots moved out right now. Exactly what we're doing, how we're gonna do it, the scheduling of it, the whole 9 yards, that's what we're working on right now.
Okay, that's a done deal, that's good.
Yeah, we're finalizing the numbers and everything from them right now. We gotta go back and forth with a few things there to see cost-wise.
We should have a GMP hopefully within maybe 3 weeks, roughly. We're that close.
And that's why when we did the bond, you know, we did extra to have some
Yeah.
money to be able to do some other projects we need to do and also leave us some room. We said we wanted to be somewhere between 3 and 4, and we're confident we'll be there. But, you know, depending on certain things, it may be because of we're doing the parking lot as well. Some other things, when you start digging into it, it's like, oh, okay, originally we hadn't thought about that, so, but we'll be in that ballpark that we talked about. And they've been doing, Chris and his guys have been doing a wonderful job over there already. If you've been through the building, the painting that's already been done, it looks so much better over there. And so the light changes last year and some things we've done this year, so super excited about what that's gonna look like when it gets finished.
Since you mentioned the parking lot, I know it's gonna be redone, but are we gonna level it down some so it's closer to, it's still going high? Okay, cause the other night, there was like water standing from the parking lot to here, and it wasn't going off. It was just standing in the little road in front of the gym,
We need to look at that,
okay?
because it shouldn't be that way.
Well,
It's on in the front, the roadside, right in front of the gym? Is that what you're saying?
right in front of the gym, yeah.
Gotcha.
Cause they had put out the little pylons,
Hmm?
cause you would have had to have driven through water,
Gotcha. I'll take a look at that.
yeah.
So we've got that stuff going on, and we'll get those steps put in there, on there for you, so we'll get that done as well. But, the bond things are coming up next month, that'll all be finalized, so I may have to get y'all something, you know, to show you or whatever, but, moving right along with that, so I thank you guys for working in a timely fashion with us on that to get it started, so.
And all the local banks will be
Mhm.
invited to bid on it.
Oh.
So,
I know the cell phones, for the middle, for the K through A, whatever it was. What are we doing to make sure, like, who's holding people accountable for that?
Right now, we're still following our current policy, and so that's up to the schools, the individual teachers that are doing that. Our current policy is they can't have it out during class period. So ultimately, it's up to the teacher to enforce that and the administration to support whatever the teacher says there. When the new law takes place, that will kick into our new policy, which we adopted, which will start on July 1. K-8, they can't have them out during the day, period. So hallways, lunchroom, any of that stuff. Now, the legislature, if you've seen the news, they're gonna take that up at the high school as well. So what we'll see is, number one, if they extend that to the high school 9 through 12, and then number two, are they going to piggyback that on and make it start July 1? Or are they gonna do another year? Now, what we're gonna start doing, we're not doing it now, we're gonna get a little more into the semester, we'll start the messaging part of what next year is gonna look like. Part of it is, let's wait and see what the state does. Because if we start messaging K-8, 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 and then they add 9-12, now we're having to do it again. So probably in the springtime, we'll start to see us pushing out information to parents. To
I
let
guess
them
to
know.
get back on that again is how are we enforcing? How are we gonna enforce it that point? Is it from up here to the principals, to the teachers, or is it going from
Teachers
principals to the
first, yeah.
teachers?
I mean, the policy will be what the policy is. It's no different than any other policy we have. It'll start with the enforcement at the closest point of contact to the kid, which is gonna be the teacher. And this is where teachers will tell you, my advisory team would tell me, I enforce the policy, teacher down the hallway does not. That's when, okay, that may move to the admin at the school,
The admin.
or even the district level here from an HR standpoint, where this is a policy we have to enforce. If you don't enforce a policy, there's consequences to that. So, but it will start at the teacher level, but we'll have those conversations with them too. And I think the teachers will be more eager to do it when they know something's got a little more teeth.
Yeah,
To where
so
it
it's a-
says,
yeah.
this is a state rule,
Yeah.
you know, it's, you know, the state law, you know. they'll
I think
get-
I have more that will be for it than against it,
Yes,
If
because
I'm not mistaken, Hamilton County's already done high school.
you know,
some systems
Bradley
started with
County
it,
is.
yeah,
Bradley is,
yeah.
they did. And really, it's only gonna be as good as it's enforced.
Of course, that's right.
And so like,
that's the same way with any of those.
it is.
Yeah.
Dress code, phones, whatever. Yep.
So you'll see more about that in the spring. We're kind of waiting to see what legislature does.
Leadership.
Is there any other board discussion? All right, next is quality workforce. We have anything?
Nothing.
Next on agenda, executive session. I need a motion that we go into executive session. Tony, all in favor? We are in executive session.
Make a motion.
Kelly.
And Sheila.
Then Sheila. All in favor, we're in open session. I need a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Linda, Tony, all in favor, we are adjourned. So we got,
Now, according to that clock, we're on time.
we'll wait till.
I don't know.
You got a minute 15. Good.
County Board of Education meeting to order. Board members, you have a copy of the agenda. Is there, I need a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Hunter,
Second.
Kelly. All in favor? It is approved. Next on the agenda is pledge and prayer. If you will, Sheila's going to lead us in pledge and prayer.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today with thankful hearts. We thank you for the blessings on our school system and our community. We pray that we go into the new year with a great attitude and make decisions that best suit our students and our community and be good stewards. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is consent items. We have a copy of the minutes. Are there any changes that need to be made? If none, I need a motion that we approve the minutes.
Make a motion.
Tony,
Second.
Sheila, all in favor? They are approved. Next, recognition. Anything?
The participation.
No public participation. Next, superintendent report.
All right, we'll start off with little finance, so. Well, she just, we went through it real quick. So we'll, you can go through your stuff there and kind of show you what she comes in. Maybe step out of the restroom or something. So you got your SPOS report there. You see we had a good December as compared to previous two Decembers. It's got that little extra that's added on there, so you see some of the right says Christmas, yeah. People are out spending,
This year.
doing at Christmas time, so. Once again, we're getting close to that SPOS ending and the new SPOS beginning. And speaking of, when that happens, we'll have to get with you guys. I think it's like we have to close one account and open a new one. And so Dr. Smith may be getting with you guys we may have to put it on the next agenda, I think, or you guys have to vote to do all that stuff and go take care of that. I'm just here telling jokes.
Sorry.
Dr. Smith.
We thought you left us.
I was back there working.
Well, you can, I went through the SPOS board, and I told them we may have to get with them next month to have them approve us
Yes.
closing one account and start another. I'll let you kind of take up from there.
Yes.
Is there any chance that we're going to not, meet the, SPOS maximum by the end of March? Would it, if it rolled over into April, would it also get April, May, and June, right?
It would, but I don't
But
think it's going
It's
to.
not, it's not even close, you don't think?
I don't think so.
It would take a couple of slow months.
Yeah.
So more than
Everybody
one?
buying stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Y'all keep buying.
if,
We got
if,
2 months.
There's always something to buy.
I haven't.
We got
ordered
January and
it, so
February.
I haven't ordered it.
And actually, we got 3 months.
Yeah.
So if we had less than, do you know the number we'd have to average a month to not go over?
no, but what I did for an estimate is I took what we collected that same period last year. So if you go back and you look at January of 25, it was at 647. In February of 25, it was 842. Well, if those amounts
Okay.
come in anywhere near that, you're way over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'd
But
have
we
to come
would still
in.
get through March,
You s-
even if we
you
go
get-
over.
Yes.
Yeah, you get still
Okay,
quarter one.
okay.
Yes.
So like we either really need it to slow down a lot or just
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
just
I
blow
mean-
as much, like, you know, as much as it can. So
Yeah.
probably gonna be the latter.
yeah.
So we're definitely gonna get January, February, March, but it'd have to really go down to get in April. We hoped it would, but it's not.
And that would mean the economy would have to go down.
Yes.
So that's,
Yeah, we don't vote.
Yeah, so, but, yes, so, thank you. Those are all good questions, but I will be doing another Georgia Fund 1 for that new SPOS. So Dwayne, that'll come to you electronically, okay? And then I'm also doing another Georgia Fund 1 for the new bond money. When we get it in February, it's gonna go straight into investment so we can start earning interest on it. While we're sitting there spending, waiting to spend it, we'll earn the interest on it, okay?
We'll have 2
So,
investments.
which,
We'll have 2 investments?
yes, 2 new ones.
Okay.
Two new Georgia Fund 1 accounts, so one's you can't use this SPOS account for the new SPOS, gotta completely go set up another one. And you can't use a we have a 2024 bond, a 2022 bond, so this is actually gonna be a 2026 bond. So I have to set up a new one for that. But it'll all sit over there, and those funds will sit over there, and starting as soon as we get them, we'll sit them over there and just let them earn interest till Chris starts spending it down. So, but yes, so December was a good collection month. So any questions about that? Y'all probably already looked at that.
And you can see that at the bottom, kind of where we are. You're at 24 and you're 25.5 is the max, so I guess to answer your question, we have to average less than 500,000 per, and we haven't done that, yeah, so like, we might as well just say, hey, Amazon, all you want, and we'll go from
At
there.
this point, you just want as much money as you can get,
Yeah,
so, for
But
those
the other-
next.
But the new SPOS is gonna be, we think we got it out of the reach as
Oh,
far as
yeah.
we,
I
like
mean,
50 million,
45 million, I think.
45 million.
Yeah, so we put it up there, it's a lot higher, so it'd be great if you could reach that, but. So, yeah, we'll watch this one end and then the next one begin. Financial wise, we're looking at the end of November, so we're gonna look at November 25 compared to this time last year. The difference again is in cash, so you're gonna start seeing, now you're gonna start seeing an uptick in cash, because we did receive some of those, sales, or property tax checks, okay? Revenue-wise, at the end of November, we collected $35 million in revenue compared to $35 million this time last year, 45% collection rate, so everything looks good on that. Everything's exactly ticking along, just like it did last year. If you want to go on to expenditures, the same's true with expenditures. 32 million in expenditures versus 32 million in expenditures. You can't get any closer than that. 41% of expenditures. And I always say we're 5 months into the fiscal year, so if it's under 50%, that's good. Okay? All right. Lastly, if you look at all the revenues and expenditures, we finally got to the surplus. So it's showing even with accruals, you have a potential of having a $2.5 million surplus at this point in time. And it was about this same amount last year. So you can see that, you know, everything's pretty much very comparable to what it was last year. Those amounts will still change, you know, we still have some time to go, so, but they will change, but hopefully we can keep them all in the black. So this is your actual as of January 5th, so it's showing that, so between November that you're looking at, December, and as of January, when we came back to school, we collected an additional $3.9 million in revenues. So your revenues went up to 34 million, your expenditures stayed at 30 million, so that gave us a positive 3.9 million, so that's the direction we want it to continue to stay and grow.
Where's that number at? I don't see it.
The 3.9 million?
Yeah.
I just.
Oh, you just
I just
said,
did it.
you just.
I
oh,
did it for
Right.
mine.
Okay.
I was gonna make you
Weird.
do a little bit of math there. I know that if you can look at, you can eyeball and say, oh, that number's bigger than the one below it, so we're in good shape.
Yeah.
The difference between them is the 3.9. You probably received the new sheet on, so we're starting a whole brand new one. I'm gonna retire when this one's filled up, okay? So, we collected, you can see that we had about $289,000 in cash, because we were spending it, making payroll and doing all that. We collected all those property taxes that came in, so, in QBE. And so right before break, I moved $10 million over into investment to let it sit there, and that collected $11,000 in interest for about 15, 20 days worth. So it's gonna sit in, that $10 million is gonna sit in there until we have to start pulling it back out. So we should get, you know, close to 20,000 or so dollars in interest. So we've collected 62,000 for the fiscal year and 692,000 since we started. So we're gonna keep that number going. I was happy, I was thinking, well, I wanted to stay long enough to see $1 million, but I might get $1.5 million before I leave.
There you go.
Approval on purchase orders. So technology, you've already approved this one by poll. That was the North Murray High School security cameras. You've all already approved that one. That was coming out of the general fund. The next one is transportation. So last month I talked about this. So the state has given us the money for 2 buses, and they only contribute $88,110 per bus. So we're buying 1 bus right now. So we're gonna buy the bus, I'll send in the paperwork, we'll get $88,110 reimbursed back to us. So we've got, our expense on this bus will be $56,792. So I have it split up there for purposes, so one of them, the bus is coming out of the general fund, transportation, and then it's gonna be revenue side is gonna be in the general fund, and that's gonna wash. The expense, the $56,000, I put over in excess SPLOST. So bus purchases are approved for SPLOST dollars. So when we have excess SPLOST, which we should have as we move forward, then I'll take that excess SPLOST money and cover the expense of the bus. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this is a new bus, right?
It's a brand new bus. Yep. And we still have one that we can purchase, and we'll just kind of watch and see how things go. You know, if we want to wait and do that in FY '27 budget.
Can I ask a quick question? And this may be random too. When we looked at our the buses and the number of kids, we had a lot of buses that didn't have many kids on them. Is there not a way to buy some smaller buses to save gas and stuff? Do they have to be 72 seaters that we buy?
I know, right now, we've got different sizes of buses, but
We have 72 passenger, and then I think underneath that, it would be a 56, 52 passenger bus. Is that even
48 is the next step down.
40? But, yeah, but the reimbursement from the state is on a 72.
72.
Yeah.
So you have to get a
Yeah,
separate.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wondered, because there was a lot, I mean, we don't have anybody that has that many kids on it, is there?
72.
Yeah.
That's just a configuration of it. For all practical purposes, a 72 passenger bus, you can only, middle school, high school kids, you can only put about 42 of them on it. That's all it'll fit on that bus. But you have to
Seating
look at
wise.
one of them. Seating wise, that's about all the students you can put in it, around 42. Now, if you got the small elementary kids, yeah, you could put 72 in it. They deem that 3 to a seat. But if you come and look at one of our buses, the 2 adults is all you'll fit in a seat.
I've rode a lot of those buses too. Good trip, yeah.
It's kind of like going to the ball game. You know, I can go to Neyland Stadium, it'll hold 108,000 people. But it depends on who's sitting beside of you, whether or not you're comfortable or not.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is when you look at the amount of children that are on the bus, or students that are on the bus, the proximity of where they live, and the amount of time it takes to transport them, we still have some buses that only have about 20 kids, but those routes are about an hour and 25 hours, 30 minutes. If you try to put more children on there, you're gonna be well above that. You'll be in that 2 hour and 20 minute range, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I just wondered.
Is there any other questions?
So I asked, Murray County High School renovation, as far as using SPOS dollars, what do we have beyond that? The cafeteria, right, and the front offices?
If we're talking about Murray County specifically, those would be the next phases, but we'll probably have some time where we spend doing some maintenance things around the system, taking care of HVACs and, you know, roofing needs we may have and some of that. But if we're talking about specific to Murray County, once that remodel's done, we won't do anything over there until we look to do.
Or the big capital
Yeah,
job?
until we say, okay, do we wanna do that, front admin part, do we need to do the cafeteria? Or we may need to remodel it and update it and make it new, but with the students going down, we may not need to expand it, you know, like, so. The kitchen probably is more of the issue, you know, over there.
CTAE would be another.
CTAE wings back there.
Yes, we need to add some classes. to
Are we still gonna be
teach
able to add the culinary?
Well, that would be along 29 to 30. It would not be, it's coming something.
29, 30 what?
Year.
Like, down the road.
Year
2029.
2029, 2030.
Have you put any more HVAC systems on your, I guess, projection of when, because I know all of them hit in the same time period?
We're gonna start talking about that, I think, in May. But yes, we've had some doozies this year, and you can expect them every year from this point forward till we get a grip on that problem.
Can you, I guess, scavenge anything to keep others running? I don't know what.
I'm sorry, what?
Can you scavenge like, keep parts, keep the other ones up running, or they're non-compatible, or what? Because worst thing to do is replace all of them within a certain time period, and when you're back in the same situation, 10 more years down the road, they're all coming due again.
Well, I get what you're saying, however, it's actually better if you took a school and replaced everything in that school at one time, and here's why.
Yeah, in the school, but how many we got in different schools, is what I'm thinking.
Oh, you got
You got them at
three or
Econ, you
four
got them at
schools,
Northwest, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm having to do now, get that choice, is replacing if they're
Patching.
totally down.
Yeah.
And you can't get parts for it. I've got 2 at Bagley right now that I'm dealing with, can't get parts for it. They're obsolete. You're having to change 1 out at a time, 2 at a time, whatever. It's not ideal, but it's what we're dealing with right now until we can kind of get over the hump and get to a better spot where we can start doing it a school at a time.
Okay.
And that's where your capital outlay funding will come in. We're sitting right now with a little over $5 million in there. That's gonna gain about $1.3 million a year. So when we're sitting in a little bit better spot, we're gonna have that money in capital outlay where, you know, it's a reimbursement type thing. We have to front it, right? But we will get reimbursed a good portion of that.
Okay.
And that's kind of where we are now, is some of that long-range planning, to where he can make a capital outlay application this summer. I think we said, or we may wait till the next
Or
summer.
next.
And then that way it builds up some more, and then we can say, let's knock out a school,
Yeah.
and then we can move on to the next one and kind of go from there. So that's where, once we get into the next SPOS, and once we get that 22 bond all paid off, then we can start adding up that excess SPOS money for a while to take care of some of these things, the front projects, and then you can say, okay, what do we want to do next at Murray
Well,
County?
I'll tell you what I'd like to do next, since you brought it up. And I know all that's priority. But I'd like to get Murray County High School football field, a turf field, put on the list if that's possible.
And then from an athletic standpoint, North Murray's track is coming pretty close. The turf,
Just know I can't use capital outlay for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that would have
No,
to
but you
be.
can splash.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot more money than capital outlay
Mhm.
than you earn. I mean, that's, you know.
Or a good donation, or we need to find some of these
Yeah.
carpet mills
Yeah.
around here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Just
I
like
mean-
Shaw, engineer, or whatever,
Yeah.
turf.
I think turf too, ain't it, about 5 years? North
Is there
Murray's.
any,
It's getting close to it.
talk
Yeah.
about, like, did we check and see about what it would cost to patch the parking lot and football field?
I think they're gonna take care of that. They're gonna take care of that, some of that this summer,
Okay, good.
when they do that across the street.
Yeah.
Usually there's some extra asphalt.
Yeah.
And Chris said, really, there's just that one
Yeah,
area
it
over
is.
here in this parking lot.
I'm sorry, what?
Over here in this parking lot, there's really just kind of one area by the Murray Field,
Yeah.
that when they do that across the street, we might be able to take some wheelbarrows of asphalt over there.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean,
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
gonna say, you know, Whitfield done all three of their schools. Catoosa, Ringo, pretty much everywhere you go now is artificial turf, and there's a lot of savings that can be had from upkeep, watering, fertilizer, mowing, lining the field off, paint. So, I mean, it's just something I just wanna put on people's radar. If that's something, you know, that the school would support and everybody would like to see. I know personally, I'd like to see an artificial turf field out here.
I know it's something that people have talked about for a while, so, and there's pros and cons to it.
yeah,
It's a North Murrayville, but I know the
Well,
track, athletic wise.
Technology changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, North Murray was donated, that's how they got theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was donated,
Yeah,
all that was.
Yeah.
well, I think Murray could have had one at the same time. And, you know, people didn't support it.
Yeah.
That was in leadership role.
Yeah,
They may,
Yeah.
leadership's changed, they may support it now, I don't know. I'm just saying, you know, it's something that we could look at maybe.
Yeah, we're, in those kind of things, we're in pretty good shape. We've talked about, like, we did the tennis courts, we've got those taken care of. The track up there is probably, as far as big,
Turf's not good either.
Yeah, so what, turf
I mean,
about 5
turf
years,
is
ain't it?
yeah, it's,
Y'all's gotta be replaced,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably in the next,
you know,
what, 5, 6 years?
yeah, I mean, when was it put, you remember when it was put in?
I don't.
Probably
know that day.
12 or
Oh,
13.
well, it would
Yeah.
have been when Gage was in the 7th grade, 8th grade. So, yeah, that would have.
12.
Because it was put in
Yeah.
originally. Was it redone after that? I
Yes.
think?
There's been upkeep to
Upkeep,
it.
okay.
Yeah,
So, I do.
but we've not had.
Like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Daphne, would you recommend the artificial turf, or would you rather go back to a?
100%.
Huh?
I love the artificial
Yeah.
turf. I feel like it's less upkeep for us as far as having to mow the field and do the line and do all that stuff. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. And technology changes all the time, I mean, as far as being safe on the kids and injuries like that.
Yeah.
The, you know, the thatch has changed, and also the rubber pellets have gone to some,
Hydrocool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah, but I think there may be some lighting or something at the press box too, at North Murray or something. Cause you know, that, you know, you got one side here, so you got one press box here and then one press box here, and both lights control both. You go up and down, and both lights control the same side of them. There's no, one light here and one light here control this box and this box.
So there's always something. That's why we're trying to get a long-range plan and some things together that we need to do. The capital outlay can do, and that we can do with our excess splost, and then also kind of tied in with the bond payments we've got going there.
Is there any other questions on the financial statement? If none, I need a motion that we approve the financial statement as presented.
So maybe.
Brenda,
Second.
Tony, all in favor? Kelly, all in favor? It is approved. Next, purchase order, I need a motion that we approve the purchase order for the purchase of the bus.
So moved.
Second.
Hunter, Conrad, all in favor? It is approved. Next, student achievement success.
All right, field trips. You've got a few overnight field trips in there. On Friday, I had to send you two. Typically, CTAE, we get those all front-loaded, but I explained kind of why we had the changes with those. One of them was a change in venue. It wasn't going to have to be a field trip, and then it turned into an overnight field trip. And then the other one was a new one that was added after the beginning. So I'd ask you to approve those. And then there's also another one in there, not that it didn't need approval because it doesn't happen until July or August, I think, but they have a deposit to put down in February, and that is football camp at Murray County High School. So that's why that one is in there. I had not given that to you. We just got that today. And it wasn't, we had plenty of time to get it approved for the actual trip, but it came up, oh, they need a deposit in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we won't meet before then. So I hate to spring that one on you last minute, but that's pretty standard with football camp as it goes. So those are all in there for you to approve.
There's no question, I need a motion that we approve the field trips as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Brenda, Tony, all in favor? They are approved. Next, personnel.
Personnel, just the packet as presented.
Yep, I need a motion that we approve the personnel packet as presented.
So moved.
Kelly, Brenda, all in favor? It is approved. We need executive session.
Nothing on that.
We're good? All right, if there's no other board discussion,
I'll make a motion on the adjourn.
Brenda,
Second.
Sheila, all in favor? We are adjourned.